Hi everyone, it's Saul, and today I'm going to be doing a complete cost breakdown of my entire PC setup. Now, I know what you're thinking, Saul, you've already made this video, and you're not wrong. I did make a cost breakdown video of my setup back in 2024, but times have changed. It's 2025, and my setup now is very different to what it was just a few months ago. I've got new peripherals, a new monitor, and even a new PC. So today, let's talk about what's changed, what hasn't, and most importantly, how all of this has affected the overall price tag. Let's start by addressing the elephant in the room. Yes, I have a new PC, and yes, it was quite expensive, at least in comparison to the old one. My old PC was a £450 custom order from Bedrock Computers, while this PC, also from Bedrock Computers, set me back £1,002, more than twice the price of my old computer. That's a big difference, so the important question is, was it worth it? Well, let's take a look at the specs. My old PC had an Intel i5 6500 CPU, a 3GB Asus GTX 1050 Ti GPU, 32GB of Kingston Fury 2666MHz DDR4 RAM, and 1.5TB of hard disk storage. This PC, on the other hand, has an Intel i5 11400F CPU, an 8GB Nvidia GeForce RTX 2070 GPU, 32GB of Corsair Vengeance 3000MHz DDR4 RAM, and 5TB of storage, 1TB of which is solid state. So that's twice the VRAM, 3 times the storage, slightly faster RAM, and a newer, faster CPU. Does that justify a £1,002 price tag? I'm sure that will be debated in the comments. Moving on now to the monitors, 2 of which are unchanged from the last video. There's the 32-inch TCL 32S5209K Smart TV, which was £149 from Amazon, and the 5-inch Electro Raspberry Pi monitor, which I received as a gift, so I won't be factoring it into the overall price. The third monitor, however, is a new addition, the 24-inch HP Compact LA2405X. This is actually a refurbished monitor from the one and only Bedrock Computers, which cost me a reasonable £70, a small price to pay for a Full HD LED monitor, and a welcome replacement for my previous monitor, the 22-inch Samsung SyncMaster with its 720p LCD display. Next up, let's take a look at some simulator gear, starting with the Logitech G Heavy Equipment Bundle. At $229.99, this bundle includes a steering wheel, side panel, and 2 pedals. You may recall from my previous setup tour that I was planning on replacing this bundle with the new Hori Farming Vehicle Control System. However, after hearing some less than favourable reviews, I decided to hold out for a while and spend my money on other things. So, for the time being, the trusty Logitech bundle is here to stay. The wheel is cheap and cheerful, but it does its job, as do the pedals. The real standout of the bundle is the side panel. This is far more than just a button box. It looks and feels like a real control panel in a tractor, which is what it's trying to emulate, and I've yet to discover any other panel which even comes close in that respect. But enough about the old, what about the new? In terms of new peripherals, there's quite a lot to discuss. My most game-changing purchase, quite literally, is this, the fantastic Thrustmaster TH8S gear shifter, which I picked up from Argos for just $44.99. This thing has transformed the way I play driving games, and as someone who's never driven in real life, being taught how to drive manual by my live viewers during a Eurotruck stream was a very interesting experience. Drop down to second. How? Hang on. There we go. Ooh. The TH8S is incredible value for money. It's sturdy but compact, it handles very realistically, and ultimately it makes for a much more immersive driving experience, as does our next peripheral. This is a handbrake. I'm unsure who made it, as I bought it on eBay, where hundreds of similar generic unbranded USB handbrakes can be found. This one in particular was £34.51, and as you can see, it's pretty simple to operate. To apply the handbrake, you pull it back, and you can figure out the rest of the controls for yourself. Not much to say about this one, it's a very simple thing, but again, it really adds to the immersion in compatible games. The final addition to my simulation suite is this, a USB ignition lock, complete with keys. This came with the collector's edition of Farming Simulator 25, which I pre-ordered on Amazon for $59.95. Quick tangent here to mention the USB beacon light, which came with the collector's edition of Farming Simulator 22, which I picked up on Facebook Marketplace for $5. As well as this ignition lock, 2 keys and 3 different keychains, the collector's edition of Farming Simulator 25 also comes with these wonderful A2 posters, the game itself, the 16-bit edition, and the modding tutorials, all of which are on disc as well as digital download. It's hard to judge the value of the ignition lock in isolation because it comes bundled with so much other stuff, but I can say that it's been very fun to play with. It's compatible with most driving games that I've tried, including Euro Truck, OMSI, and of course Farming Simulator, though I must say that you will need something to affix it to your desk or it will slide around a lot. I just stuck it down with command strips. Now, with all these new peripherals, you might be thinking, how the hell do you plug all this stuff into just one PC? Well, the answer is simple. I use this, a 10-port powered USB docking station from Sabrent. I picked this up on Amazon for $59.99, although that price has since come down. I don't regret buying when I did though, because this thing is amazing. Because it has its own power supply, there's absolutely no concern about overloading the PC, and because each socket has its own switch, I can instantly turn connected devices on and off without having to unplug anything. My PC itself has 9 USB ports, but thanks to this docking station, I can now connect up to 18 USB devices. Which may seem a ridiculous amount, but with all the simulation gear, the keyboard and mouse, the webcam, the other webcam, the headphones, the mic, and so on, only one socket remains unoccupied. Now, despite all of this new stuff, a lot of components in my current setup are exactly the same as they were in the last video, so let's quickly blaze through those now. There's my keyboard, the Truss GXT865 Aster, $39.99 from Game. The T-Dagger TTGM203 gaming mouse, £20, also from Game. The ADX Firecast Pro microphone, $29.99 from Currys. And from Amazon we have the EXA 1000 gaming headset, $19.49. The Logitech C920 webcam, $47.99, along with an additional $14.99 for the adjustable mount. The Logitech F310 controller, $24.95, and the UnionSign 500GB external hard drive, $23.91. I also have this unbranded USB webcam, which I actually replaced with the Logitech C920 shortly before I made the original setup tour video. Initially, I was going to get rid of it, but I decided to keep hold of it to use as an eye tracker, which I've occasionally used for both Euro Truck and Farming Simulator. Since it's now an official part of my setup, we'll add it to the price list. $17.99 from Amazon. With all of those components out of the way, all that's left to look at is the furniture. I included it in the last video, so it's only fair to include it here. This gaming chair was £67 from Argos. This wonderful wood effect corner desk was $69.98 from Mano Mano, and this matching PC stand, a new addition to the setup, was £16.03 from Amazon. There's also these smart LED flow lights from Illumilight, which can be controlled remotely via the Tuya Smart app. I couldn't fit them anywhere else in the video, so I thought I'd just shoehorn them in here. £20 from B&M. And there we have it. £2,067.74 for everything you see here. Except the PlayStation. And the DVD player. And this 6-socket extension lead. And a couple of cables. Now, that's quite a step up in price from my previous setup, which came in at just over £1,300. So does my current setup reflect that £750 price increase? Well, there's a few factors to consider. Firstly, keep in mind that $550 of that $750 went towards the new PC alone, and it's difficult to fully appreciate the value of this upgrade unless you've actually used the PC yourself. That being said, the fact that I can now play my favourite games on the highest possible graphics settings with hundreds of mods installed while streaming to both YouTube and TikTok simultaneously is surely an indicator of the significance of this upgrade. Another factor to consider is that my setup is catered towards streaming, particularly driving games like Farming Sim and Euro Truck, so a lot of money has gone towards streaming gear, such as a quality webcam and microphone, and simulation gear, such as a steering wheel, handbrake and gear shifter. things which are not an essential part of your typical PC setup. I made a point in my previous setup tour that a quality PC gaming setup can be achieved on a relatively tight budget, and I stand by that point. If you stripped my setup down to just the PC, monitors, keyboard and mouse, controller and headset, i.e. the essential components for a gaming setup, the overall price becomes a much more reasonable £1,300. So while I may have spent a bit more on optional extras, the core of my setup is still fairly budget friendly. Anyway, that's enough of me trying to justify why I spent £2,000 on a gaming setup to strangers on the internet. Thank you for watching this video, hopefully I've answered any questions you may have had about my setup, and if not, feel free to leave a comment if you want to know more. Bye bye.